So what's up, everybody? So as I said before in one of my previous videos, and because somebody asked, I'm gonna tell or say, let everybody know how the Jeep did with the leveling kit on my vacation. So I had a guy or a girl, I don't know who you are. So anyway, I had somebody comment on my leveling kit video yesterday saying that they wanted to know how it did and stuff like that, and that somebody in their family has been a mechanic for the past 600 years and has worked on everything from the Titanic to now, and they wanted to know how it did. And they were saying that they were told that if you want a vehicle to last, you should leave it stock. So how did it do? Is it worth it? Stuff like that. So partly that is correct. If you leave a vehicle stock how it is, it will, for the most part, be reliable, but you can still have a modified vehicle and it be reliable. Depends on how far you want to go with the modifications. Like something that I'm doing right here, that's not going to be too much of a concern. Now if you start throwing a big lift on this and you start throwing big tires on it and then you start doing other stuff like that, then yeah, you might run into reliability issues a little bit, or you may have to do some stuff more often than others. Like you may have to like with big tires, you may have to rotate them a lot more than normal. You'll have a few miles go down a little bit, stuff like that. But so that's partly true. But anyways, so the leveling kit, the vehicle, for those that are new, this is a 2019 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited. It's a two-wheel drive, and it is the 3.6 V6, and it has the 2-inch Rough Country Spacer leveling kit just on the front. I'll try to show it if it'll show up, but you see, you might not be able to see. Hang on. There we go. So you can see it's all the way at the top up here. So, yeah. It's actually up here. My hand was in the wrong place, but it is up here. So, I did make a video about it. So if you guys want to see that, you're more than welcome to go watch it. If not, that's cool too. But anyway, I installed, today is, I think, September 3rd. It's a Tuesday. I installed this on August 20th, which is 2 weeks ago, which was also a Tuesday. And I also went out of town all of last week. I left on that Saturday, which was, I think, the 21st. And then I came back this past Saturday, which is, I think, the 31st. So I was gone for that. But anyways, so how did it do? Well, I do want to say that I did forget to actually reset one of the trips that I have, because the first trip I have is for the mileage since I changed the oil last, and I think it's at like up to 980 miles, something like that. So I don't really want to reset that. I mean, I write the mileage down when I change it, so I know what to change it at next. I just add 5,000 or whatever it is at the time, but I still use that anyway. But I had a second trip that I didn't reset, because I was going to reset that to see how many miles I drive collectively over the time that I'm on vacation. So that's obviously the trip to from my house to where I was staying, and then from where I was staying back to my house, and then all the little teeny driving I did while I was there. I went to Tennessee. I stayed in Pigeon Forge. We also stayed in a cabin out in the wood and the mountains. And with this being two-wheel drive, obviously I didn't take it anywhere where I had to do any kind of off-roading, because it is, again, a two-wheel drive, and we didn't stay anywhere like that. There was a Jeep thing going on in Pigeon Forge, which we didn't know about. We didn't really pay attention to that, because we were wondering why we saw so many Jeeps, and that was why. I did see a lot of Jeeps just like mine, like they were exactly like mine. They're all limited. They all were white, had the same wheels, same everything. So I found that kind of strange. But anyway, yeah, so like I said, I forgot to change that, so I couldn't tell you how many miles I actually drove. I do know that at least the trip from where we lived to where we were staying and back was over 300 miles just by itself. So I would say this is probably a little too much, but I've probably put about 400 to 430, 440 miles on the leveling kit since I've owned it, because I ran through a tank of gas, and that by itself was over 400 miles. So that should pretty much tell you that. Actually 2 tanks of gas now that I think about it. But anyway, so it drove perfectly fine. It drove like I didn't do anything to it. The alignment's not off enough for me to really notice, because I can let my hands off the steering wheel and it'll still drive perfectly straight. It probably still needs to be checked anyway, and I said that when I put the leveling kit on and I made the video about it. You know, even if it looks right and it looks like it's not changed, it's changed. I can promise you that it has. You're gonna have to get it checked. So with that being said, like I said, it drove perfectly fine. It did okay. Didn't have any issues. The only real big issue is I did get a nail in my left front tire, but it never leaked, so it is what it is. But other than that, yeah, it did perfectly fine. I didn't have any problems out of it. I did stay in the mountains, as I said, so a lot of people know how that is. You know, you have to drive up the mountain, and it's an incline, and there's a lot of twisty, windy roads. It was perfect for like a sports car, not so much for an SUV, especially a full-size SUV and a full-size truck like my mom's. Going down the hill was not an issue. This vehicle, I don't know if it's standard on all the Jeep models, but mine has the hill descent control, which pretty much works the same as a Jake brake or an engine brake. It slows the vehicle down using the inertia of the actual engine itself without you having to actually touch the vehicle's brakes. I still did keep my foot near the brake pedal just in case. I didn't use that the whole way down. I pretty much used the brakes as a majority of the time. Going up the hill, though, is a little bit of a different story. It did not like going up the hills. I don't know if it was just because of the elevation change or what, but it could not handle it. It was more of a transmission issue than it was an engine issue. The engine didn't sputter or nothing, but the transmission had some issues, and it's had them since I had it. It seems to slip, and it's very... it has a pretty bad shudder, so I don't know if that's a torque converter problem or if that's an actual internal transmission issue. And for those that aren't aware and those that don't know, these use the same ZF transmission as the ones that are in the Rams and the Chargers and the Challengers. It's the 8HP70, so it's an 8-speed, but it uses that special ZF fluid or whatever the fuck it's called. And it's very expensive, and it's very hard, and it's not really hard. It's a very labor-intensive process to change the fluid on one of these transmissions, and it is expensive. It's very expensive. I know for the Rams, people have gotten quotes from dealerships saying that it would be like $1,200 to get the serviced, and that's just because 90% of that price is literally just the labor that goes into it, because it's got to be done perfect. It's got to be done exactly as it's supposed to be done. You can't really cut corners. It's not just a typical, drop the pan, drop the filter, put a new filter, put the pan back on, fill it with fluid, and you're off to the races. It's not really that quick and easy. You have to obviously drain the fluid, but you have to put new fluid in. The pan and the filter are in one. They're made together, so you have to install that, and that's expensive, especially if you want to buy an updated pan or one with a drain plug or whatever. They make aluminum ones instead of the plastic ones because the transmission pan is plastic. Yeah, and then the fluid's like $20 a quart, and that's not good either. And the vehicle has to be completely level. You have to fill it to a certain point, and then start the engine, let the transmission get to a certain temp, and then check it again and add more fluid. And yeah, it's a whole thing. So needless to say, it's not something I'm going to do, but it's got a warranty on it. So if something happens to the transmission, it's covered, not by me. And these ZF transmissions are expensive. So they are made by a German company, which is ZF. And just that this is nothing to do with this video, but don't just go by what the book says. The book will tell you that it's got what's called lifetime fluid. There's no such thing as a lifetime fluid. They tell you that because the dealers don't want to take their time to change the fluid in these transmissions. They don't want to deal with it because of how labor intensive it is. If you actually call ZF or you look up stuff from them or contact them in some way, they will tell you that the fluid needs to be changed from the 40 to 60,000 mile mark, and every 40,000 after that. So you need to pay attention. You need to do what you're supposed to do. Yeah, it's expensive, but would you rather pay the $1,000 for the transmission fluid service, or would you rather pay the I'd say anywhere from $4,000 to $6,000 for a new transmission? So there you go. and I don't tow that much, so I don't know what it would be. I actually don't tow at all, so I don't know. But anyway, it did fine. The fuel mileage was kind of back and forth. It was in the high 20s on the way there, but then once I got there, because I was doing a lot of in the city driving and I wasn't going very far, it dropped down in the high teens. It was probably in the 18 to 19 MPG mark. It got to 20, I think, once, and then on the way home, it got back up to the high 20s. So can't really tell you that either, but I didn't use a full tank of gas on the way there. I used maybe half. And then obviously while I was there running around, it dropped down. I had to get gas, and then a little bit after, drove back here, stuff like that. So anyway, but yeah, do I recommend the kit? Yeah, because it wasn't that hard to install. Like I said in that video for the leveling kit, I didn't have to take off everything that it wants you to take off, primarily because my vehicle's not four-wheel drive, so I didn't have to do all that. And I think even with four-wheel drives, you probably don't have to go as far as they want you to. Because they want you to take off pretty much everything on the front suspension. You're not really going to have to do that. But I don't have a four-wheel drive version, so I don't know that for a fact. But I didn't have to. But I said that in that video, so there you go. I do, though. It just doesn't look level to me, especially right now since I'm on a hill. You might be able to tell it's leveled on the video, but it doesn't look level right now. But like if it goes and sits in a parking lot that's flat, you can tell. But I still wish it looked a little bit higher. And same thing with the rear. I do need to put the lift on the rear or buy one just so it's leveled out. And I might put bigger tires on it. I don't know yet. But yeah, all in all, it did a pretty good job. I'll give it like a 9 out of 10 because it didn't change how it drove, didn't change how it acted. It still drove perfectly fine. So yeah, so there's your video that you wanted. I don't know your name. I can't remember it, so I can't really call you out specifically or shout you out specifically. Excuse me, I had a stroke apparently. So yeah, there you go. I hope this helps. And I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one.